This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, December 30th, 2005, and this is episode number 43 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hatchberg from MGMstudios.org. Today it's just me in studio due to the hectic schedule of the holidays, and actually it's mostly my fault for causing the other guys not being able to make it here today. Today's show is going to be about, we've had listener questions in the past, but today we're going to have listener comments. You see, we get a lot of questions, or rather a lot of emails from our listeners, and not all of them are questions, they're rather comments that we make, whether sometimes jokes about what we say on there, or clarification of something we may not have been clear about. And so for today's show, because it's just me, I thought I would go and read some of these comments that we've gotten, give credit to people who gave us the right information, and add any information if I've got them, my feelings or what have you, and we'll go from there. Our first question today, or first comment rather, oh boy, it's a little bit different, not saying questions, right, is from Mike Hamilton, and he writes, says, "Hi guys, big fan of your podcast. I have a question for your guest Steve from show 28, and he says, I recently set up a site called WDWmaps.net. I would like to get more information about the roads Hidden Mickey you talked about on episode 28. I am a Hidden Mickey's fan. I did a scrapbook layout on Hidden Mickey's, and he goes on to put a link to his personal site, which we'll put on the show notes. And he goes on to write that he would like to add some more group markers of Walt Disney to his WDWmaps.net interactive map, and one of them would be the Hidden Mickey's with the lake inside the racetrack used for Richard Petty's experience, the Mickey Sand Trap Green, as well as some others that they mentioned. Well, Mike, I think I had emailed you some information before about this, but if some of our listeners want to help Mike out, certainly just head over to WDWmaps.net, and you can send Mike any information you may have on Google Map or MSN Earth, one of those sites. If you have no idea what we're talking about, don't worry about it. Just go over to WDWmaps.net. I'm sure Mike's site will explain what he's talking about. We got a lot of emails about the Hidden Waltz. We were talking, of course, with Steve Seifert, the guy who wrote the book on Hidden Mickey's, literally, and we were kind of uncertain about Hidden Waltz, about whether or not they exist or not. We got a lot of emails. The first one comes from Shannon in New York City and says, "Hi, I'm sitting at the pool bar at the All-Star Sports Resort after a day at the Magic Kingdom and just listened to your podcast on Hidden Mickey's. Regarding Hidden Waltz, I took a Keys to the Kingdom tour about a year ago, and we got to see many of the Spectre Magic floats behind the scenes. Our tour guide pointed out several hidden waltz on those floats. I wouldn't be surprised to hear about one of the other floats. They would be very difficult to spot during the parade itself. Love your podcast." That's, of course, Shannon in New York City. So we thank you, Shannon, for writing in with that. Dan Scott also wrote into us and said, "Hey guys, I was listening to old episodes and decided to search about something I heard. I found this article in an August 2002 section of a newsletter from allearsnet.com, and he pastes in an article that came from that newsletter. Obviously, I'm not going to read all about it, but there are many hidden waltz hidden throughout some of the parades. What I will do is I will try to find a way to post this on the show notes. So you'll have to check that for the exact locations. They go on through each float. You've got the Mickey Snow Globe float, you've got the Genie float, the Pinocchio float, so it's very easy to find these if you know where you're looking. And of course we thank Dan Scott from Winter Park, Florida for sending that in. Our next question, or comment, oh geez, I'm really screwing that up today, is from Rob Springle, who's the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions for the Rosen College of Hospitality Management at the University of Central Florida. And if you remember, we had a question, I believe from Skylar of Philadelphia, or Pennsylvania, somewhere from Pennsylvania, and he wrote in and asked us about the Disney College program and what internship opportunities they had. Now, Len mentioned on the show about the University of Central Florida's internship opportunities, and Robert, who's clearly the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions and listens to our podcast, I guess, maybe perhaps someone mentioned it to him, but he wrote in to us and says, "Guys, good morning from Orlando. I was listening to episode 30 this morning. Clearly my iPod Shuffle function works. I listened to episodes 33 and 34 over the weekend and wanted to follow up on a question you had. I run the recruiting and admissions office at the Rosen College, the Hospitality College of University of Central Florida, located on Universal Boulevard, just north of the Beach Line Expressway. Thanks to Len for the plug. In addition to the college program, the founder of which is on our faculty, Disney also offers lodging management and event management internship programs exclusively to Central Florida college students. Rosen College students tend to do those or straight part-time jobs at Disney rather than the college program. Our students are required to do at least 800 hours of paid work in the broad field of hospitality. As you all mentioned, college program tends to focus on basic ride operations, guest service, and retail parts of the parks and resort properties. Disney also makes housing available to college program students in Little Lake Bryan near the Orlando Premium Outlets. And thanks, and keep up the great work. And that's, of course, from Rob, so we appreciate Rob emailing us in and giving us the correct information about that. Now, our next comment comes from Pat and Robin Whitworth of Stone Mountain, Georgia. And if you recall, we had we've had many podcasts where either myself or Mike Scopa kind of say we're not the biggest fans of the animal kingdom. And certainly some fans agree with us, some don't. This particular fans, Pat and Robin, wrote in really a long essay on that's the best way to describe it about it. I'll give you bits of it. He writes, they both write in. First off, I really enjoy your podcast. It's obvious you guys put a lot of time into each podcast. I'm still not sure how you manage 3 a week, but it's great. I'd rather have 3 short podcasts a week than one long or one only one time a week. Now on to Animal Kingdom, the park you guys don't need, like, or think should be at Walt Disney World. It's a fair assessment. My wife and I travel to Walt Disney World alone since we do not have kids, so this is an adult point of view. We have been 15 times since 1994, but we do enjoy the thrill rides and attractions at all the Orlando resorts, but Walt Disney World is where we spend most of our time. At first, Animal Kingdom was a beautiful park with a few neat things to do. We were blown away by the setting, loved the safari, 2 of the best shows in Walt Disney World, Tarzan and Lion King, and found this to be our slow day park. The last few visits, we found much more to do at this park. If you're willing to take your time and watch, there are a lot of neat things. Our favorite list includes lunch at the Tusker House, the tigers, love watching the tigers, the gorillas are also fun, and the animals around the tree. They also go on, again, this email is really long, and we can't go on and read the entire thing over here. He goes on to mention the ducks in front of the tree, the monkeys in Asia, the parade, which is their favorite, character pictures, Divine, who of course is it can best be described as kind of a Streetmosphere character. Of course, those are the characters you find at the Disney MGM Studios, but she's someone who dresses up as a vine, and kind of like will just blend into the background in that path, I believe, from Africa to Asia, and just stands there. And of course, if you actually notice her, she's very good at what she does. So of course, Pat and Robin go on to list all these things. Now, they enjoy all these things, and they're all great things. We're not going to discount them. I think really what our point is that a lot of these things that you mentioned are watching animals, the parade, which I really don't. I don't think anyone on our show are big fans of the daytime parade. Certainly, we just think that it's really just not a matter of these self-service attractions, but we prefer, and I think, guests in general prefer more straightforward attractions. They don't have to be, as Len said, runaway mine cars, zipping through all the park. That's not necessary. Certainly, it's been proven through attractions like Soarin' that, and even Mickey's PhilharMagic, to give you a low-key example, that attractions don't have to be like that. You can have quality attractions that are entertaining and don't have to be, risk your head being blown off or something like that to make it interesting. There is just a lack of quality attractions. And, to answer that, they installed the Chester and Hester area at Dinoland USA, which is terrible. It's an absolute atrocity, and if you've ever been there, you know what I mean. I don't think anyone enjoys it. I mean, it's appalling to look at. I would not want to spend much time there, to be honest with you, and that's really just, that's really the heart of it. It's just not much to do, and what Pat and Robin write about are, they're emphasizing you going to do things like watching animals, which, if I wanted to watch animals, that's why I go to a zoo. And, I know it's not a zoo, but that's what it sounds like. I mean, when you go somewhere to watch animals in a caged environment, that's a zoo. You can put Mickey Mouse around them, but it's still a zoo. Our next comment comes from Kevin Crossman of Fremont, California, and he writes, the tagline of the Walt Disney World Today podcast says, give us 5 minutes, but the podcasts are always 15 to 25 minutes. Even the first show is nearly 6 minutes. The question is, are you going to return to a 5-minute format or just change the tagline? You guys are doing a great job. I listen to a lot of the Disney podcasts, and yours is right up there. Well, thanks for writing in, Kevin. Yeah, it's true that it's kind of been not an inside joke, but it's kind of, it's not lost upon us that our tagline of 5 minutes is never quite accurate. There's two ways to look at it. One is that 5 minutes is a general term for to give us at least 5 minutes. I think we will eventually change the line to probably, since our podcasts are now in the 20-minute range. We don't really have a set limit on what we're going to. We like to keep them short. We think that people by that I mean our listeners, of course, enjoy shorter shows. No one has time to sit there for an hour and listen to something. So perhaps in the future we will change the slogan to be give us 15 minutes or 20 minutes, something like that. But yes, it's not lost upon us that our slogan is a little bit behind. We also had some comments about episode 38 where Christina Testa was on the show to tell her some of her very funny stories. Dion Harrison wrote in and said, I thought episode 38 was really funny. Christina was great. Researcher stories are the equivalent to reality TV on an iPod. Good show. Thank you, Dion, for writing in. We also had Alex Bogdan from Queens, New York, wrote in, and if you recall, there was an episode where Len was talking about a appliance company that runs commercials on local TV down, so you would only be able to see it if you're in the Orlando area. And clearly, myself, and Mike had no idea what he was talking about. But Al from Queens wrote in and confirmed that Len is not crazy and that these commercials do exist. He says, yes, the name of the husband and wife appliance company is Appliance Direct, which can be found online at appliancedirect.com. Their commercials are mesmerizing. They buy something like an hour of time on a local station in the morning and play 5 to 6 commercials for their store over and over again. Most of the time with the Asian man who, according to his webpage, is named Sam Pak, screaming about how he loves appliances and dishwashers. Every time I go to Walt Disney World, my wife yells at me because I end up sitting and watching this guy scream about refrigerator for hours. You guys really have to check it out the next time you're in the area. I'm pretty sure you can even watch the commercials from a room in Pop Century. I've never seen anything like it. Well, clearly I've got to spend more time in the room and not as much time in the parks, I guess. So we appreciate Al for writing in and telling us this. And you know what? I think that's about it for us today. I appreciate all the comments. And if you'd like to send in your own comments, we do appreciate them. We do read every single email that comes in. If you've got a comment, send it to us. You never know. We might end up on a show like this where no one else shows up and it's just me. But anyway, you can send your comments or your questions to questions@wdwtoday.com. There's also a forum on our webpage at wdwtoday.com in case you don't have access to email. And again, this is it for episode number 43 of Walt Disney World Today. You can look for our new shows on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays every week. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. Have a good New Year, and we'll see you on the next show.